I wanted to talk about some of these comments that I got on the video that I posted this weekend about our dogs and the trespasser we had in our backyard, because it kind of blew up and people in the comments wrote a lot of crazy stuff. So I just want to go through some of them. If you missed the story, by the way, we had a trespasser in our backyard. It was the guy from the gas company. So essentially my wife and was in the backyard with the dogs, and the guy unannounced kind of walked in the backyard. Luckily, my wife had grabbed our big dog. Could have been bad situation for everybody. And so it was a whole controversy of whether he could go back there. It was a whole thing. Anyways, you can see the video. I posted it, but I wanted to go through some of the comments because I learned something, and I also realized how nuts some people are too. So the first thing is, you can see the sign that I put up, and this is kind of important, the wording. The sign says no trespassing, dog on premises, keep gate shut, do not enter without permission or owner present. And what I said in the video is that we got a no trespassing, beware of dog sign. And that wasn't the case. So we got a lot of comments like this that talked about what the sign should say, that if it says beware of dog, we could be in trouble because we're admitting that we know our dog's aggressive, which our dog is not aggressive. But so you're not supposed to say beware of dog. You're supposed to say dog on premises or no trespassing. Because now you're just saying, hey, there's a dog here, as opposed to my dog's going to bite you. I'm not sure if I know the difference between beware and be aware. I feel like those are the same. I don't know. Is beware the same as be aware? Should we Google that? Oh, I guess I guess those are the exact opposite. So it's exactly what I'm talking about. Beware means watch out for danger. It's a direct warning to stay away from something harmful. Be aware means to know something exists. So yeah, I guess on the premises would mean be aware. Beware means it's dangerous. So I get that. So what people were saying in the comments is somebody went in the backyard and there was a beware sign. That's me admitting that the dog is aggressive or dangerous. And so if they got bit, they could sue me. But if it just says be aware or dog on premises, then that kind of covers us and makes them more of the trespasser. Which was, I had no idea about that, so I'm glad my wife got the right sign. Good job, babe. You nailed it. But now you know, too. So if you have a, beware of dog sign, that could be putting you at risk, allegedly. I don't know that. I didn't check with a lawyer. I don't know if it's true, but you can put it in the comments if that's true or not. I got a couple other comments, too, like the put a lock on your gate. Like, I don't want to have to lock my gate. That's so annoying because we do go in and out of it, and there aren't a lot of people that go into my yard, but I mean, I guess if it comes down to it, I'd put a lock on it. Just don't want to have to do that. Two, I don't understand a gun would have solved that problem, people, because there were a bunch of them. And I don't, listen, I'm not against guns. I don't care if people have guns. I have a FOID card. I don't own a gun, but I'm not against it. What I am against is people using guns as a scare tactic. And that's kind of what that is, right? If you're in your backyard with your dogs, I'm not afraid that something's going to happen with the gas guy. Like, he's dangerous to me. I was worried about the dog, really, more than anything, the dog attack situation. Not that there was somebody in the yard and I wanted to flash my gun at him to scare him away. I don't know. That just seems irresponsible from a gun. There was even a guy that posted in my comments, and he was a firearm instructor, and honestly, I'm less afraid of the guy from the gas company coming in the yard than a guy that doesn't have restraint enough to know that the gun doesn't have to be the first option, and that if it can be solved by a sign, the gun probably isn't necessary for that. So I don't know. I guess I don't buy into the gun would have solved that situation. There was I have a lot of followers from Texas too, because I used to live there. So I had a lot of try that in Texas stuff. Guys, I'm not trying to kill the guy from the gas company. That wasn't the goal. I just want everyone to actually be safe. It's the opposite. The goal was opposite. So anyways, we got the sign up. Hopefully that takes care of it and they'll make themselves known. Crazy. This year is 20 years in radio for me, which is nuts, man. And I got my first job in radio because my uncle used to bowl with Jimmy. I said that to somebody and they looked at me totally cross-eyed like, who's Jimmy? And why did you? It's just another way of saying networking, because of networking. I know a guy. And so that's what happened, man. I networked really early on. I've always been pretty good at that, even through college. And my first job in radio was driving a pink Volkswagen Beetle in traffic. It was called the Traffic Scoop Coop because it was sponsored by Baskin Robbins. So the goal of this thing is I had to drive this pink Volkswagen Beetle in traffic every single morning and then report back to where there were delays when some of the roads didn't have sensors on them still. And by the way, some of you will remember this, and this will be way over other people's heads, depending on what year you were born. But I used to sit in the car with this little Nextel phone. Remember the chirp? So it was like a walkie-talkie. It was a cell phone, but it had a walkie-talkie feature on it. Every time there was a delay, I'd have to be like, a delay on the Eisenhower from this road to this road, 15 minutes, whatever. And so that was my first job in radio. It was awful. It was 5 to 9 in the morning after I had been out till 4:30 a.m. DJing at a bar or something like that. And so I had to do that, and that sucked. I did that for about 2 weeks before I got a job in promotions. I kind of walked in. And it was my key card to the building, though, and that's kind of what you have to do. People ask me all the time in radio, how do I get into radio? And honestly, I don't even know anymore. I don't know the entry-level places for radio anymore. And with technology, if you want to be in radio, you got to start, you just create, man. You can create a podcast. You can show how funny you are, do a YouTube channel, and use social media, get people's attention. But if you really want to be in radio, there aren't those young talent pools anymore because internships are gone because somebody sued a radio station once because they had to get coffee. So now no one can do internships unless they're paid, and no radio stations are paying, and everything's downsizing. Technology makes things able to be done with less people, sometimes faster. So I don't know what those entry-level jobs are that much in radio, and I haven't seen them in a long time. So it's a little nerve-wracking to see what the next generation of radio hosts looks like. I don't even know where they come from at this point. But for me, it was the networking. It was to keep in touch with somebody for 4 years before the job even opened. And turns out I knew a guy, and then my uncle was bowling with Jimmy. So anyways, 20 years in radio. Maybe I should tell some more stories. I got a lot of them. TSA is taking away these toys from kids on the planes now. And I just recently became aware of these toys. There's always the fads that kids go through, but the Needo toys, they're like the squishy things. First of all, just found out they're not spelled Neato, like Needo. And that's what I thought, because kids thought they were cool. I thought they were Needo. That's how they were spelled. They're spelled Needoh, which I guess makes sense because you're kind of like kneading dough. Is that why they called them that, or did I just make that up? Anyways, that makes sense to me. Anyway, I thought they were spelled Needo, like cool Needo. Maybe that's just showing my age, because kids would probably never say that, would they? Anyway, so TSA is taking them because of the gel that's inside of them has to be the 3.4 ounces or whatever. I guess some of them are bigger. So kids are bringing them in their backpack or packing in the carry-on, and TSA is like, no, you might blow up the plane with this, or whatever the argument is. So if you're traveling with kids, be careful of those things. You know, we just ran into this too, because there's a lot of fake ones of these things too, and they start ripping open and the goo starts going everywhere. But the worst part is that kids are getting kind of scammed, because kids, they think they know the difference between the real and the fake ones, and they don't always. They're like, oh, it has this and this, but those can be fabricated. So these kids are spending a lot of money on these fake ones. And I'm trying to think of what we used to collect. I used to collect Pogs. I think Pogs was the only thing I was really obsessed about getting as a kid. I know Beanie Babies was obviously the fad, and I guess before that, Cabbage Patch Dolls or whatever, Magic the Gathering cards. But man, yeah, it was, for me, it was Pogs, getting the best slammers. My dog's here. Hey, buddy. I would collect dogs if I could. And then, of course, baseball cards had those things. Something I realize about myself is how I act differently when my wife is out of town, and she's out of town right now. And one of the things I do is I meal prep, which sounds so healthy, but I don't do it the healthy way. I don't go to the grocery store, get a bunch of food, cook it, chop it up, prepare it, put it in different containers. What I do is I order DoorDash, but I order enough to last me 3 or 4 different meals. So that's all. I don't know if that's called meal prepping or not, but I'll do that. I did that. Got some Mediterranean food. And hey, listen, there's vegetables in there. There's some falafel. It's pretty good. The other thing is I stay up late. I stay up way later than I do when my wife is home, even if she doesn't have work the next day. And I fall asleep on the couch. Big couch sleeper. I used to do that a lot actually when I was single before I met my now wife. But I had this couch. I had this big, glorious purple squishy couch. Man, I lay down on that thing and I was out, done for. And so I've been doing that. I've been laying on the couch and instead of going to bed, where usually I fall asleep on the couch anyways. But then my wife comes in and says, "Hey, get ready for bed. What are you doing? Why are you sleeping on the couch again?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm a teenager. That's why." Anyway, so when my wife's out of town, I revert back to, I don't know, college days, ordering DoorDash and sleeping on the couch. So, honey, come back soon. I'm not well. Anyways, those are my stories. I don't know if I'm going to tell most stories, but I kind of felt like I wanted to sit down and do that. So here I am. Obviously, you can always find me on Instagram too, Scotty K on air. Scotty with a Y, the letter K on air. And you can find that video of my dog that I was talking about earlier in the show. So until next time, have fun.